Hi, I'm Bjarki Kaikomo. In this video, we're going to be looking at reverb. Reverb refers to how sound behaves within a space. Reverb is distinct from echo in that it is a more complex phenomenon than echo, which is simpler and only occurs in nature between mountains. The history of reverb in recorded music begins with echo chambers. They are soundproofed rooms with reflective surfaces with a speaker on one end and a mic or mics at the other. Signal from the control room gets sent to the speaker, and the mics pick it up and send it back to the mixer for blending. Later came plate reverbs, which, as the name suggests, is a plate of sheet metal with a transducer carrying the incoming signal attached at one end and one or more contact microphones at the other end to pick it up. Spring reverbs are simply a box with a long spring inside that creates a reverb when a signal is sent from one end to the other. Today, they can still be found in many guitar amplifiers. Later on, digital reverbs were introduced. They use a series of feedback loops and comb filters to simulate acoustic spaces. The same principles are used in today's plug-in reverbs. There is also another type of digital reverb called a convolution reverb. It samples an actual acoustic space and uses the tail information to create a reverb preset that can be applied to any sound you want. So what is reverb? A reverberated sound consists of three parts after the original sound or impulse: the pre-delay, early reflections, and finally later dense reflections, or the tail. In a room, the sound travels out in all directions from the source, hits any boundaries, like walls, and gets reflected back. This is called first reflections. It'll then hit another boundary, creating secondary reflections, and blend with the other reflections, creating a complex soup as the energy dissipates. Like in the example of the two stones dropping into water in the video on phase. One of the most useful functions of a reverb in a mix is to glue all the elements together, meaning making them sound as if all the instruments are being played in the same space, like they belong together. In many situations, one overall reverb on an aux bus is enough to do this. Reverb gives a sense of size, but also of distance, depending on the balance between the original sound and reverb. In a mix, it's good to think of the placement of the instruments, not just in terms of pan, left or right, but also how far away from the listener you want the sound to be. For example, using less reverb on a lead vocal to make it sound close, but more on the backing vocals to make them sound like they are behind the lead singer. Care should be taken when selecting a reverb because it's easy to make a mix sound muddy with excessive reverb. This is also directly tied to the tempo of the song. This means, for instance, a long reverb that sounds good on a snare in a ballad is too long for a snare in a fast rock song. As with many things, tasteful use of reverb is the key.